Hey YouTube friends, I've been wanting to make a video about jungle cactus for a long time, but it's really only been in the last few months that I feel like my jungle cactus are doing well enough to even talk to you about them. Jungle cactus, particularly Rhipsalis, are some of my very favorite plants. For me, there is nothing not to like about these crazy plants. They just feel untamed and wild and quirky, and there are just so many different types to love. However, I totally get that this type of plant mightn't be for everyone. Just like my mum and my sister who are constantly saying to me, what is with you and weird plants? So jungle cactus are a bit of an informal name for a group of plants that are similar to cactus or cacti. I never know which one to say. However, unlike our succulent friends, these guys originate mostly from Central and Southern America. So because these guys naturally grow in the wild more in rainforest areas versus how we would normally think of succulents and cacti in dry desert environments, it took me a little while to get their care right. And that's the bit that I wanted to talk to you about today. I think I've got about 9 plants to show you today that make it into the jungle cactus category. Only a few of the plants I'll actually be able to hold and talk to you here because in general, most of my jungle cacti are hanging up in macrame hangers, and these can be a little bit delicate, I guess, to get in and out of the hangers. This was meant to be a pure, let's just look at 9 different types of jungle cactus video. But this guy, I woke up, I think it was 2 mornings ago now, and I saw the absolutely clear sign that it had a caterpillar. We are still in winter and it does worry me about what spring and summer are going to look like when we're already getting caterpillars on my inside plants. So I saw the little bits of caterpillar poop underneath the windowsill where it's hanging. It really is like the Hungry Caterpillar book all over again, because they can literally destroy a plant overnight, and they've done that to so many of my plants. So super important we catch the caterpillar in this one. And also yesterday, I've had some plant mail. This isn't new plants, but it's actually some plant products that I had ordered. It's an Australian brand that I haven't used before, but I'm hearing really good things about it. So we'll open this one in the video as well. Just quickly, if we haven't met before, hey, I'm Mel. After some medical complications a few years ago, I found myself needing to retire from a career that I absolutely love. However, fast forward to today and I'm proud plant mum to over 150 plants. This channel is all about bringing you along on my planting journey, mistakes and all, and hopefully giving you a bucket load of tips and tricks along the way so that you can bring some more greenery and calm into your home as well. So grab yourself a warm drink, get comfy, and let's talk about plants. Okay, so in true Mel fashion, and if any of my plant club ladies are watching, they are probably laughing at me right now. I have notes, because of course, if I don't have notes, I'm going to forget. So let's just cover the few key things that I really wanted to make sure that I let you know about jungle cactus before we go and check out all my individual plants. So firstly, I think the really cool thing, as I said in the opening, is it's not one particular genus that makes up the jungle cacti. There is a whole group of genus that make up this informal group. I'll put all the genus names up here for you guys, just so you get some idea. We are covering most of the genus today, so you'll be able to get a really good feel, because when I look across my collection, I have to say jungle cactus probably make up the biggest group within my collection. And I guess I hadn't really thought about that before I started making this video. So it actually surprised me how many individual ones of these plants I have, because in general, I collect a variety of plants. I wouldn't really class myself as having a passion for a particular type, apart from dark leaves and moody and unique looking, which is probably how I've ended up with so many jungle cactus, the whole weird, quirky vibe that they have. And the other bit that I mentioned really briefly in the introduction, and I think this is a real key when it comes to looking after them. I think I bought this one and the 2 that are in the lounge room at the end of COVID. I got them in the mail, I remember. And so I really still didn't know what I was doing. And these guys have just been so kind to me in so many ways. I actually don't know how this one and the one that's in the lounge room, it's 2 plants I've combined, are actually even still alive, because I really did have trouble. I understood that they were cactuses, but not really cactuses, and cacti, I really struggle with that, sorry. But I really had trouble getting my head around how to care for them. When we think about succulents and cacti, they generally grow in the ground, whereas jungle cactus are pretty cool. They're either classed as epiphytes, which is growing on structures like trees, or lithophytes, which I hadn't heard for years. And lithophytes is actually growing on rocks for support. So for jungle cactus, thinking tropical rainforest, bright filtered light, frequent rainfall, humid air, and airy root systems. And airy root systems was the key. For anyone that's been on this channel for a while, you're probably sick of seeing my entry wall. But the whole reason that I got Rhipsalis, my vision was you walk into our front entry and along the entry wall was a whole heap of trailing Rhipsalis and jungle cactus. And so that has been my dream set up for, goodness, how long ago? It was the end of COVID. I don't even want to think. Quite a few years ago now. I knew that this one and my original ones, they were going okay, but they weren't thriving. They definitely weren't growing. I did keep noticing a bit of root rot, but I was just sort of cutting it off. I did eventually put them into my DIY chunky mix, but that didn't really fix the problem. So I bought 2 grow lights. So now the entry wall had the skylight and 2 lots of grow lights. So I'm like, that is heaps of light. The plants will grow so well there. And 2 years later, still all of my Rhipsalis was surviving, but not thriving. Just to experiment, I moved my very, very favorite Rhipsalis into the lounge room because I wanted something to go in the corner. And seriously, within a few weeks, like, I'd never seen this thing have new shoots. You should see how big it is now. I can't wait to show you. It's in the corner of a east-north facing window. So it's got 2 windows, gets beautiful filtered light of a morning, a little bit of filtered afternoon light, and just lots of bright light during the day. And it just grows and grows. And that was the sign for me. I was just like, Melissa, you're going to have to accept that the Rhipsalis look pretty on the entry wall, but they're not living their best life. It's not their happy place. And so since then, I've been trying to find higher light locations for them all over the house. So after all of that, the setup that I've landed on that's working here in my house in Southeast Queensland, remembering that all of our houses, all of our plant collections, environments, they're also different. Take this with a grain of salt. This is what works in my house. And if you've got different ways of looking after Rhipsalis, feel free to whack them in the comment. I'm always looking for new ways to look after plants. But what's working for me, DIY chunky mix, lots and lots of perlite, bark, like really, really chunky. It still does have a little bit of cocoa core fiber in there, but definitely more focused on chunky, airy when you think about how they live in the wild. This one has just been watered. So I put them in my DIY self-watering setup, mainly because they're all hanging up on macrame hangers and I don't want to have to get them down every time that I water them. So I've got these little reservoir sources in here, mainly to catch the overflow of water, because I would just wreck these beautiful vines if I was pulling them out every time I needed to water. So I give it a good water from the top, really let the water flow through. The reason I wanted to show you this is a little bit too much water that I'll actually tip out after I show you. So just a little bit of water, less than that line in the bottom, that will dry out really quickly within a few days after watering, because all of my Rhipsalis now are in much higher light locations. Hence, they use a lot of water because they're getting a lot of bright light. So that water will disappear after a few days. And then I'm just watching the soil like with any of our other houseplants. When the first few centimeters dry out, then I re-water. But I find it's really important to let that reservoir dry out in between, for a few days in between, before I'm re-watering. So maybe in 12 months time, after I have lots more Rhipsalis that are actually growing and thriving, I might even find a different way. But for now, that's what seems to have brought them around for me. So more light than what I thought they needed, and getting that water balance right, but making sure at the same time that I've got lots of chunky aerated soil. So before we go caterpillar hunting with the curly Sue, and by the way, when I say hunting, I don't like killing things. I feel terrible. These caterpillar, we get brown ones and green ones, so it'll be interesting to see which one we've got in here. They camouflage so well, and when they change from a caterpillar, they actually change into a moth, which is a really important part of our ecosystem here. Let's go and see if we can find this guy, and I'll show you what I mean, and I'll also make sure I put some information about the moth up here as well. As soon as I saw this, I just knew caterpillars just hem up my plants usually in the warmer months, and that poop is like #1 sign, as well as those 2 leaves, just like the hungry caterpillar out of the book when we were younger. I knew I had to find it because these guys can decimate plants literally overnight. But after 10 minutes of looking, I still couldn't find it. They camouflage themselves so well, and I never know if I'm looking for green or brown because we get both. So I decided enough was enough. I needed to repot it. It was still in its original soilless mix from buying it, but even still, it's not as chunky as my mix. I didn't realize it wasn't as chunky, and I was grateful not to find root rot because I was still treating it like a self-watering plant, but it wasn't as chunky as my mix. So I was feeling really grateful. There it is. I finally found it. That was probably after about 10 or 15 minutes. So just keep going here, make sure I'm getting all that more dense soil mix off the plant. We might as well finish the repot. So they camouflage so well, these little guys. So naughty. So I just pull the leaf off usually that they're on because I don't want to damage the caterpillar, and I take them out into the garden and they can chew on whatever one of my big garden plants they want. I never ever kill them because they're such an important part of the ecosystem. Here's a little bit of information about them. My friends and family laugh at me. So with the repot, because I'm going to have that saucer reservoir, I always put 1/3 perlite in, just like I do with my normal DIY self-watering setups. Put the plant in, always with the roots above that 1/3 perlite. And then I pop in my DIY chunky mix in there as well to the 2/3. I don't know if you can tell compared to the old mix and this mix just has a lot more aeration. See those roots close up? I'm so lucky that they weren't root rotted. I just didn't realize how dense that original soil was because it's not my mix. I guess I was just making an assumption about all DIY chunky mixes, but this will be a lot safer for the future. So it needed a repot anyway. So the caterpillar is now hopefully happily out in our garden eating some of my bigger plants, and the curly Sue got the repot that it really needed. And now I know that I've actually got 2 other plants from the same nursery. They came so healthy. They were so so well looked after, but I now know that I need to treat them slightly differently because that mix is a little bit more water retentive than my normal mix. So I give it a good rinse after I repot my plants, always, just to give the perlite a good flush. And then I do preventative neem oil spray. I know that the plant's wet, so it's going to be a bit diluted, not as effective, but seriously guys, ADHD brain, if I don't do it now, I may completely forget. So I always give it a bit of a neem oil spray now, and then hopefully I remember a few days down the track and I'll do it again. I never ever want to spray this on the caterpillars though, because as I said, I really do think they form an important part of the ecosystem, and I can't bring myself to kill them when I can easily find them and relocate them. And then I'll just fill up that reservoir. I'll give it another bit of water. I'll water it, and just a little bit in the bottom. It will dry up over the next few days. And that's it. That's the curly Sue repotted, and hopefully it will be a lot happier now that we've got rid of that caterpillar. Until next time anyway. So I just filmed 7.5 minutes of footage about one of my favourite Rhipsalis with my microphone turned off. I was trying to be organised when I was setting this outdoor area up, on putting you guys on a ladder, attach my microphone to my necklace like I normally do, and I didn't turn it on. This is take 2 for this Rhipsalis. And so what I was saying was that I finally bitten the bullet. This is the very last Rhipsalis that was living on my entry wall. I'm finally going to acknowledge, after a good 3 years, I think, maybe even 4 years, the entry wall is just not a place for Rhipsalis. I've got 2 lots of grow lights on the wall that I run on maximum capacity for 12 hours a day, and we've also got the skylight, and it just doesn't seem like enough light as much as I try. I really haven't had anywhere to put this guy. I've really been procrastinating. So that's it. I thought today's video is all about jungle cactus. If I'm not going to relocate this guy today, when am I ever going to relocate it? I mean, look at this. So my beautiful husband got me this for our wedding anniversary. I think 3 anniversaries ago now. And see, this is how thick and beautiful it was when I fell in love with it. Look at the thickness here. And then look at the thickness. This is a good comparison. See this one versus this one, the difference. It's just not getting enough light on the entry wall. So it's time for it to move. It does actually have some little new shoots, which also surprised me. Also the bit that you missed because my microphone wasn't turned on, when I took this off the wall, it was actually sitting in a black saucer for when I watered it. And the black saucer was up to about here, and so I couldn't see. And it had quite a bit of water in here. I don't normally have water sitting in the bottom like that for my Rhipsalis. I'm actually surprised that this guy isn't having a bit of a moment. Its soil is so wet. I mean, it is my DIY chunky mix. I've got lots of perlite and leca and bark in there, which has probably protected it, but it is still much wetter than how I would normally have a Rhipsalis mix. And also considering it's not getting as much light as some of my other Rhipsalis as well. It's also the plant that I always keep its name tag because it's not a simple name and I always forget it. So also it seems to be the one that ChatGPT and Claude seem to get wrong as well. So hopefully I don't lose that tag, or maybe I should just write it down somewhere. That probably makes more sense. Anyway, this guy is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, what is there not to love? There is something just wild and crazy about all sorts of jungle cactus, but this one in particular is just beautiful. I've told the story many times, so apologies if you've heard me say this before, for our wedding anniversary, because I can't eat food. We often try and do things that don't revolve around food, so we're always looking for nice things to do. So on this particular day, my husband said to me, you know what we haven't done for ages? Let's go onto the other side of town where we haven't been for a while. Let's go off shopping and plant shopping and check out any vintage stores. We went to the Bunker, which is definitely a favorite nursery for me. It has so many beautiful plants. And when you walk in, they've got a coffee shop and there's usually Rhipsalis hanging up on a ladder. They've got a bucket load of them. It's also where I got my Fern Leaf Cactus from, which we'll see during this video as well. This guy was hanging up and I kept going back to it. And I already had the fern leaf, and that was more than enough for me because I think it was very close to that $50 mark, which, as you know, is that limit that I really try and draw with regards to plants. And this one was in the 40s too. And I'm like, I've already got one plant. I can't bring myself to buy two. And my husband said, Melissa, it's our anniversary. I would love to buy you 2 plants. Bless, I didn't have to choose, and he bought me both. I've had this hanging outside for so long on that hook. I'm going to have to think of somewhere else to put it. I just love it. One of my beautiful friends gave me this. I love the concept, the tree of life concept, and I love the bright colors. It's so happy. It doesn't quite match inside though, so I try and keep it out because I've got a lot more bright colors out here. But for now, I might even just hang it on the ladder so it's safe. I'm so clumsy. So the last 2 times I've tried to hang a plant with a macrame hanger, I've ended up dropping it and it falls on the ground. So the second last one was the spider plant. If you guys remember, for anyone who watched that video, that was a complete mess. And this was actually my backup spider plant. The one that I dropped is still well and truly in rehab. And then last week or the week before is when I dropped the donkey's tail as well. So maybe 3rd time lucky. I'm really happy with that Rhipsalis hanging there. It's going to get lots and lots of beautiful filtered light. We didn't have a disaster, which is fantastic. The perfectionist in me, see how those pots are the same length, or see how those 2 hangers are almost the same length? Whenever I hang plants side by side, I like them to be different heights. So that is potentially going to niggle at me, but maybe when all the other plants start growing up, I'm not going to notice. Just so easy to break these when you're putting them in. So perfectionist Mel might just have to get over it and just be happy that the Rhipsalis has a really nice bright home now. I'll move my ladder out of the way and I'll show you what the space looks like now. I adore this plant. It was a wish list plant of mine for so very long. I saw it on a planty YouTube video and I didn't even know if they're available in Australia. I mean, what is there not to love about this plant? Seriously, look at these leaves. I wish you could tell on the camera just how thick they look. So much like a fern, but their leaves are so much thicker, so much more succulenty. So this was the other plant that my husband got for our wedding anniversary a few years ago now, with the other Rhipsalis that we just hung up in the back patio. I absolutely love her. Probably about a month she's been hanging here, and you can see, let me just move back a little bit, see the perspex there? She's getting light from the perspex, both from there and then up under there is clear. So far, touch wood, even when she was growing on the entry wall, it was still a pretty forgiving plant, and it has got new shoots. I reckon probably doubled in size is a bit much, but I reckon 30% increase in size since I've had her over the last few years. I did drop her twice while I was trying to hang her up in the macrame, and I actually did hang, you know, I've got a little bit of a thing about heights of pots because the Hoya is over there. I wanted this pot to be shorter, and so I had to actually tie a knot. Let me just show you. I actually had to tie a knot in under here to change the height, because otherwise she was going to hang right down here. Despite me being up on a ladder, trying to balance the fern and try not at the same time one-handed, it all worked out. Thank goodness. It would have been hilarious for the neighbours to watch, that's for sure. Can you hear Daisy playing behind me? Hello. She's actually the last plant as well. For anyone who's been on my channel for a little while, if you remember, I did try that Mabgrow, which is the Australian version of Pon, and she is the only plant that's done okay in it. So I haven't repotted, although I have actually seen down here there's some roots. I don't know if you guys can see them. There are some roots coming through there, so I think it might be time. I don't think there's going to be any good way to film this, guys. The sun is shining right on this spot at the moment. This is that orchid cactus that I showed you guys. I can't even remember which video it was again now. It wasn't very long ago, but it's the orchid cactus that I rescued from curbside. So you can see it's still a little bit rough and banged up. I wasn't even sure if it was going to survive. So it was a plant that I just moved around. I didn't have a home for it. And now I've got this cool recycled timber box that a friend's neighbor was moving, and he gave me a whole heap of plants. In that video that I did, I went for one plant and I think I ended up with 9. This was the cool old trunk that he left. And there is actually a fern in there that I am going to move because you can see the sun, it's going to get burnt. But this guy is going to take its place and it seems to be loving. Look at all the new shoots since she's gone here. There's some more over here. Look at all these new shoots. I haven't had her here in the middle of summer. So let me just back up. So you can see these plants get the afternoon sun here, but we are in winter, so it's not very harsh, and they actually really seem to like it. From memory, by the time the afternoon sun comes across here in summer, it's a lot higher. They don't get as much afternoon sun in summer, but I just want to check. You can see I've got a number of plants along here. I just want to check it one more time before I actually go putting any of these solidly into the ground, just in case. Even my big fern, even my big mako fern at the back, I haven't put that into the ground yet either. It's in a pot. Same with the monstera, just in case I've got it wrong and I haven't remembered correctly how the sun goes here in summer. But I'm just so delighted because this plant was just so banged up and so unloved on curbside. To watch it grow, it is just absolutely huge. And see there's more little babies in there. Yeah, she's awesome. Hasn't flowered of course yet, so I'm also really excited to see it when it flowers. I think it'll love it. And look, if it's too hot there, if it doesn't like the sun in summer, my next idea is I'll just hang it somewhere further in under the macadamia nut tree. And that's actually the other reason I haven't taken the monstera or the fern out of their pots yet. If necessary, I'll push them back further underneath the macadamia nut tree. There's just something lovely about rescue plants. I love the stories that come with them. So over to the corner of the lounge room, guys, where I've got my very, very favorite Rhipsalis and my OG Rhipsalis next to each other. I am so happy with this corner. I love it. It makes me smile every single time I walk into the lounge room. How quickly this Rhipsalis has grown in this corner actually gave me the idea that all of the other poor Rhipsalis living up on that wall really needed a new home as well. So let's start with this guy, my very OG Rhipsalis. So it's been here in the lounge room for a good 6 or 8 weeks now. Remembering it's winter, so you don't expect very much growth in winter, but it has got, where did I see it? For the first time ever, it has a new shoot. It has never ever had a new shoot in my care. In fact, let me just step back a bit. This plant is actually 2 plants. I bought two at the same time, and they have just slowly got root rot and died and shrunk and just got sicker and sicker in my care until I worked out how to care for them properly. This poor thing has been the guinea pig. Look, there it is. There it is, guys. That has never ever happened in my care before. A new shoot on my OG Rhipsalis. So I'm just hoping that only good things will happen for this plant now from here, now that I've actually got it hanging in a much brighter light location. I'm happy to admit, like I said, out on the back patio, even though my vision was for a whole heap of beautiful Rhipsalises going down our entry wall, it wasn't meant to be. And unfortunately, this guy really was the guinea pig for that. And it has paid the price because this was 2 plants and now it's 1. And this is all that I have left. But it really is, this is the healthiest I've ever seen. It doesn't have brown tips. It's not drooping. It doesn't look dehydrated. It's got that new shoot. Oh, is that a mealy? Hang on, guys. I see mealies. That's good timing, isn't it? I was just about to say hosing off the plants helps with pests. And the only problem is, because I'm not hosing these as regularly, is they are a little bit more prone to pests. I'm probably jinxing myself now. But this guy, and as I said, this is my least healthy of my Rhipsalis, is the only one that I've had mealybugs on to date. This is the 2nd time now that I've just spotted those little guys. But touch wood, none of my other Rhipsalis or jungle cactus have had pests yet to date. I don't take them out and hose them anywhere near as much as what I do for my other plants, just because of the logistics. I'm just going to go and wash my hands before I touch my next plant. So I've just washed my hands with this guy. So I would ideally take this one away and separate it because it's got the mealies. But as I said, logistically, taking these in and out of the hangers, it's just a little bit difficult, and I'm willing to risk it. I've got some isopropyl in a spray bottle. I'll treat that in situ, and I'll also just do a preventative neem oil spray on my very, very favorite Rhipsalis as well. It worked last time. I managed to keep the mealies off this one when the other one had it, so hopefully I'll be as lucky again this time. But this is my very, very favorite Rhipsalis. So this one was first, and then the second one I got, I'll show you guys in the propagation room. And so this was my 3rd type of Rhipsalis, probably the most hardy. Even on the entry wall, she was doing okay. But she's just such a beautiful plant, and I wanted something in this corner. Look how long she is. She's just beautiful. She just loves this spot. So also in the same self-watering setup as my original Rhipsalis. So out where the macadamia nut tree is, it goes a bit blurry, sorry, because I've got it in cinematic mode. That's east out there. So they get the beautiful east morning sun. This is north. This window is north. And so they also get some filtered sun through the window during the day. And it just seems to be a Rhipsalis's happy place. I'm really, really glad that this plant did so well in this spot. It just gave me the biggest clue, as in you're really not giving the rest of your Rhipsalis enough light, because basically as soon as I moved her here, the growth was just exponential, dare I say. She just exploded with growth, and it made me realize that I really needed to do something different for the rest of my Rhipsalis. So this is my relatively new window in the propagation room. I'd seen some other planter YouTubers do this sort of thing with curtain rods, and I thought, what a perfect spot. So this is an east facing window, so it gets beautiful morning filtered light. And I thought, look, it's worth giving it a go. See that empty hanger there? That's where the curly Sue normally lives. When I finish the video, I'll make sure I pop her back up there. First up here is my Christmas cactus, and I just love this plant. I have talked to you guys about this one before, so apologies if you've already seen it, but this plant is sentimental because it was one of the last plants before my dad passed. I had a Christmas cactus similar to this one. It was an heirloom plant from him, but it got overwatered while I was on holidays. It got down to one of these little leaves and it just root rotted. I could not save it. And one of the lovely ladies from Plant Club knew that and brought me this one in a few months later and said, Mel, I've got this Christmas cactus for you because I know that you love them and I know what happened to your dads. So I thought that was so kind of her. It was such a nice thing to do. And I said to her, don't tell me what the flower colour is because that will be a nice surprise. And you can actually see I've got one flowering at the moment. So it's just about to come out. It actually gets a beautiful pink flower on it, which was actually the same colour as my dad's. And it just feels really good to have one back in my collection again. My original Christmas cactus from my dad, I seriously don't know how it survived because I got given that well before I knew anything about plants. Luckily, he had it in a pretty good potting mix already that was a bit chunky because I didn't repot it. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was still in my just watering once a week phase, but it was getting a nice amount of light where I had it. And so I think it just survived out of spite because of me. But then when I really started caring for it and I went away on holidays, unfortunately, my plant sitter did overwater it and there was no coming back. I talk about the wildness and weirdness, I guess, of these plants. I think this is the epitome of it. I just adore this guy. This guy also has some new shoots. Yeah, just doing so much better in this brighter light location, just like all of its cousins as well. It also was doing okay on the entry wall. It wasn't struggling, but it wasn't thriving. And I'm just delighted to see this plant looking so much happier than it was. I absolutely love it. Look at that. Out of all of my Rhipsalis, this one definitely has copped the most of my ADHD brain because it was in that beautiful tap structure that my neighbour who does the steampunk sculptures did for me. It was in a pot, so I could never ever see the reservoir, and it dried out on me so many times. I mean, bone dry, like cactus dry, and it never ever had a tantrum on me. So I guess I'm just so lucky that this was the Rhipsalis that I had in that pot for so long, because I don't know if some of my other plants would have handled the ADHD brain and the forgetting of the watering just so much. So you can see why it's doing so much better in this spot. It's got so much more beautiful natural light coming through, and also I can actually keep an eye on the reservoir and the water levels that it's getting as well. So yeah, this plant is definitely so much happier here. It always amazes me where we find pests in our collection, because this is where the curly Sue normally sits. So the caterpillar had to get right up here to actually get into the curly Sue. So you can imagine my surprise here when I started seeing down on the windowsill the caterpillar poo. It just was not something that I was expecting. Let's go to the last plant here, which is another orchid cactus. So you can see this actually is less, is it scalloped? The leaves are a little bit straighter than the big one that's outside. So this orchid cactus was left on the table at Plant Club. Let me just have a look. It was this piece here, I think. I'm standing on my tiptoes, guys, so the camera work is probably horrendous, but I'll do my best to try and hold it straight. So this little piece here was what was left on the table at Plant Club, so it was really hard to tell what the plant was. Self-confessed jungle cactus girly here, I knew exactly what it was. Some of the new tendrils are quite thin compared to how thick they can actually be, and that's just as I've been trying her in different light locations. I'm hoping now that she gets some beautiful morning light in across this window, we're going to see some more of those thick leaves. Another one of those underdog stories that I just love, because she was left on the table. It must have been one of the very first Plant Clubs. So it's over 12 months old now that I've had this, because it's taken quite a while to get to this size. Hasn't flowered for me yet. So that's probably the last thing that I haven't mentioned with these guys. The internet tells me that a little bit like Hoya, I guess they have to get a bit mature, healthy, happy before they start flowering for us. So I actually have no idea what color this flower will be either. So I'm super excited to see her flower eventually as well. I love this whole window actually. Let's just put the curly Sue there so you can sort of get the idea. It's just lovely of a morning doing the treadmill every morning, having all these plants. I've been calling it my jungle cactus curtain and I just love it. So this is my final jungle cactus to show you guys. This is my fishbone cactus, or I've also heard it called the zigzag cactus. Check out the shape of these leaves. They are so cool. Look at that. Just love it. So since I've moved this off the entry wall, still haven't been able to find a highlight location for it around home yet, because these can get quite big, just like the rest of my jungle cacti. So for now, it lives here. It's got the closest spot under the grow light, and already, check this out. Oh, that's nice and dry. Let me just take it out of its pot. It's already got some new baby shoots coming, and remembering we're still in winter, guys, so that's pretty cool. It's got lots of little new shoots there. So that tells me also it's thanking me for the additional light. And this is a really good example. You know, I was saying earlier in the video about watering these guys. So I do have my cocoa coir fiber, cocoa coir bark, some leca, and some lots and lots and lots of perlite. So really, really chunky. I love growing these in the clear pots because you can see, I'm just trying to find a spot. So there is still moisture. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's still moisture through there. It's almost ready to water because, as I said earlier, I won't ever let these go completely dry, but I'm still seeing enough moisture in there that I'll probably wait another day or two before I water. But if I've seen no moisture in here at all, then it's too late. I should have watered it yesterday. So that's what I'm talking about. I let the reservoir dry out. Actually, that's almost ready to repot. Look at those roots. When I water it through, there'll be a little bit of water left here in the reservoir for the roots. It'll slowly, over a few days, suck up that water, and then I'm just watching the moisture in here and making sure it never completely dries out. And so far, touch wood, that seems to be keeping my jungle cactus happy, which feels really, really nice because I just love these crazy, crazy plants. I've forgotten to talk about propagation with these guys. So the most exciting thing about propagating them is you just pull off a bit of this. If I took this new little piece and pulled it off down here where it joins, or took a bit here and broke it off, and then I let it callus overnight, so let it dry out, pop it in chunky mix, in sphagnum moss, in soil. I love propagating in water. Water is my absolutely favorite way to propagate, but I've never really had success propagating any of my jungle cactus in water. So I always just go back to my DIY chunky mix or spag moss or just in perlite. And like any propagation, keep it a little bit damp, but not soggy. Give them a bright amount of light and they'll grow babies for you really, really easily. Compared to a lot of tropical plants, they are a bit slower to propagate. They definitely aren't my faster propagators, but they still do really easily. So the little one that I've got propagating for Plant Club was literally that. I just snapped a bit of this off, put it in soil. I've had it outside on the back patio under lots of bright light, and it's grown like crazy for me. I was so excited. I was actually able to, 2 Plant Clubs ago, I took my very first Fern Leaf Cactus propagation to Plant Club, and I felt bad that I only had one, but I was just testing how to do it, so it would have been nice to have more to share. So next time I take them, I'll make sure I have a few more to share. So for anyone who has stuck around to the end, let's open my plant mail. I'm a little bit excited to open this package. So from memory, so I ordered it last week. I think it's some fertilizer, some organic liquid fertilizer, which apparently is good for hydroponic plants as well. So it doesn't have that oily, fishy residue. And also some new neem oil pest spray for me to try as well, because I'm almost out of the normal one that I use. And I'm always trying to support local Australian businesses, but also find new products that might work even better for my plants. I always appreciate when companies put a little thank you card in. So cheers for choosing Plant Runner, happy growing, and then it's just got a little bit of a spiel about the products that I bought. This is quite heavy, so I can't actually hold it and talk to you. It could be a bit of a disaster in the making, so let's just go with looking down at the box. It is so nice to open boxes these days that doesn't have polystyrene in it. Really should have brought scissors in with me. Ah, fantastic. So this is the indoor plant food. I'm really looking forward to trying this. It did say no fish oil, none of that residue. So fingers crossed. And the reviews were really, really good. And I like that it comes with a dropper as well to make it easier to know how much you're putting in the bottle, because I'm not a big fan of measuring it out. It's just one less step, you know, when you're preparing your nutrient solution. ADHD brain, anything that makes it easier, I'm just more likely to use it. We'll see how that goes. I haven't got a lot of room here, guys. I'll put this down here. So I've got 3 things in here. Also in cardboard, this is great. So this is the neem oil spray refill. I love it's in a glass bottle. This is great. So I've got a spray bottle that I already use for my current neem oil spray, so I'll just make it up in that. That's fantastic. What's this one? Oh, this one's a little bit tighter. So I use neem oil for preventing pests. So I probably, as the weather is warming up, I will go around and I'll give my plants a really good hose down. I'll break my plants into different sections and then I'll spray them all with neem oil. But I'll also use it if I have a minor outbreak. So now that I've got the neem oil arrived today, because of course I waited until I'd completely ran out of my previous spray, the We the Wild spray that I've been using for a while. And then I noticed this morning on the Rhipsalis in the lounge room that I've got mealybugs. I've found between hosing down my plants and using the neem oil and then using the isopropyl spray, it is very rare these days that I have to go into any heavier duty sprays. It's made a real difference actually. Oh, I'd forgotten, this is great. Thank you last week, Mel. I ordered 2 lots knowing that I'd run out and I would probably wait until I'd run out to reorder. So I've now got 2 litres of neem oil spray, which by all accounts, according to Plant Runner website, will last me for quite a while. And then I've obviously just bought this small bottle of their indoor plant food just to give it a test, because whenever I'm trying new products when it comes to plant food, I'm very, very conscious about that fish oil layer. Because I have so many of my plants growing hydroponically, so just in water, it's really important. And Foliage Focus, the brand that I currently use, has been fantastic and it doesn't have that layer. But as I said, I'm always just looking for other products that might do even better. This one is Australian made, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So if you stuck around with me until the end of the video, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me today. As usual, if you've got any comments on jungle cactus or any planty comments in general, whack them down below. I am a small channel. I read and respond to every single one of them and they always make me smile. I am always happy to talk about plants and share my passion for them with you guys. I haven't really thought about what to make for next week's video, only because I've got about 3 or 4 different ideas going around in my head. So next week's video will be a bit of a surprise for all of us. But until then, I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful and planty week. Take care and remember, you've totally got this.